Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Our guest today is a consultant and an extraordinary coach who has helped over 30,000 members of the HighLevel community. He is renowned for his ability to assist agency owners in creating predictable results for their clients without relying on ad spend. After successfully closing his first $1 million digital marketing agency in 2015, he developed a new model that delivered faster, more cost-efficient results, culminating in the creation of Fit Club Accelerator, which grew over $2.1 million in revenue and 525 clients within 18 months. His program and trademark Database Reactivation system have guided over 10,000 businesses to scalable growth, generating over 1 million leads. Something particularly interesting about our guest today is his tell it to you straight advice that cuts right to the bottom line, earning him a reputation for delivering expert guidance that is second to none. Intriguingly, he is not just a business powerhouse, he is also a family man who strongly believes in work-life balance and aims to help others achieve the same balance in their personal and professional lives. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Robb Bailey.
What's up? Thanks for having me, Fit.
Robb, mate, you had a impressive journey in what you've been doing, but I cannot stop and think, with your agency, Fit Club, right?
Yes, sir.
You seem to do really well there. Like, what did you stop?
Yeah. So, I think that it's important to note that I had many highs and lows that got me there. And one of the reasons why I thought was I had a buyer come across my desk, so to speak. And two is HighLevel was just launching out of beta, and I was really excited about that. And Sean, the CEO, had asked me to begin promoting HighLevel. And so I had an opportunity to both sell my agency and get involved with a project that I really believed in. So that was kind of what happened. It was almost the same time, the same 3-month window that had happened. Interestingly enough, now that you ask, my business partner in that business left about 2 months before that. And that was another contributing reason was I was having to shoulder more of the load at that time. So he had some personal reasons for leaving, and we're still on great terms. It was nothing, nefarious or bad, although I've got some of those stories as well. Not with that particular business partner, with others. But, it kind of like, the level of things coming together at that period of time, really, it all sort of came to me. It was not something that I sought out to do, but, for my family, I thought that was the right thing to do at the time. And I was also feeling a little bit burned out because there were some people who were trying to steal our IP and steal our clients and all kinds of other things. And I was feeling a little bit burnt out as well, if I'm being completely honest. So it wasn't just one thing, but multiple things adding up in that same period of time really encouraged me to take a strong look at it. And I decided to go ahead and sell it at that time. So.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember like you were sharing once on a webinar that when you were doing back then, like agency work, bespoke for clients, and you were like waking up in the middle of the night at sweat because a client's website wasn't done yet and things like that, and people calling you up. That's just not fun, right? That's not scalable lifestyle you want.
No. So that was my first agency. My first agency, I kind of have the tale of two agencies, right? My first agency, I grew to 7 figures and we did anything for everyone. It was all custom work. It was awful. I cannot stress to you enough how painful and, in every facet of my life it affected. So I did the math. I figured out by the end of 3 years, we shut that agency down. By the end of 3 years, I would have made more managing a McDonald's, in income, if you calculate by the hourly rate. If we lost one client in 1 month, that ate up the profit for the previous 4 or 5 months that we worked so hard to earn. There was nothing, not a single offering in my entire agency that I could hand off to someone and have them complete. That was brutal. And yeah, I mean, we had a really, really good client roster and we provided a good service and our clients were very happy with us, but it wasn't enough. And, at the time I didn't know it, but I was working a model that just could not win with. I don't think the trading time for money model is a good agency model anymore.
No.
It used to be, but it's not anymore. Right. So that was my first agency. That was my 7-figure agency failure, right? Closed that agency down. I felt like I let my business partner down, my employees down, my clients down. I felt like I let my family down because I was sacrificing so much time away from them. We were having babies at the time. So, we were starting a family. So, I think anybody who's ever felt like that in their business can relate, where it's like, hey, the whole reason for me starting this business was so I could spend more time with my family. And I'm sitting here doing the complete opposite of what I set out to do. Right. So it's very much out of alignment with my like morals, ethics, standards, or if you just want to, simplify it, like your reason for going into business in the first place. Right. Because it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. Sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. Sometimes you have to do things that other people aren't willing to do, like work on holidays. And I did that all the time for years to try and get ahead. Right. So that was a bit of a mind F, if you will. And so when I shut it down, I said, geez, I see people having success with this and I'm sick of doing it alone. Like it's not effort because I'm putting in the effort. It's not expertise because me and my partner were good at what we did. It's not the clients, I don't think, because we had some pretty good clients. And so I deconstructed all of what we did. And my wife, I was like, maybe you should get a job. And I was like, oh, sounds awful. Like sounds worse than what I just went through to me. And so I said, give me 3 months and let me see if I can, find out what I did right and try to just focus on doing that. So a friend of mine, Mike Cooch, I think you know Mike Cooch, so
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty sure you do. Yeah. So he had just moved to San Diego where I was living at the time, where I'm from. And I just sent him a message kind of cold and said, hey, I know this is a long shot and you don't really know me, but you just moved to San Diego. I'd love to take you out for lunch and, maybe just show you around, or, we could just chat about some cool spots that you might be interested in. If you know anything about Mike, he really loves going to cool places. So he's like, yeah, sure. No problem, which was really nice of him. He barely even knew who I was at the time. We certainly weren't friends. And I took, I said, hey, I just closed down my first agency. Here's all the things that I did. And I feel like I did a lot of things right, but there was enough wrong with it that I wanted to get out of it, And so he asked me some questions about it. And he very quickly identified that I was just doing making a typical model mistake in the agency world. Right. So, and he's like, well, do you know what you want it to look like? And I said, yes. And he said, and I was like, I want to help local businesses. I want for it to be scalable. I want the service delivery to be productized. I want the operations to be streamlined so that I don't have to be doing everything. And he's going, oh, dude, you're onto it. Right. And so Mike had built several businesses this way, where it was basically a productized service offering, right? Almost no customized work or no customized work. And that gives you some elements of scale and freedom and, cash flow and profitability it's like I was only going to get back into the agency business if I could have those things in it. Right. So the issue for me was that I did not have a mentor. I never hired a mentor. And the things I had enough experience to know what I didn't want in my business, which was enough for him to help me identify who to go contact to go do this. So, the name Billy Jean came up. He said, hey, you got to go check out Billy Jean. I just did an interview with him. He's crushing it. He's doing like 250 to 300 grand a month, helping local businesses, just doing productized service delivery, no custom work. And so I said, oh my gosh, that sounds perfect. And at the time, Billy's office was in Little Italy, which is a part of San Diego that was very close to me. So Mike helped me reach out to Billy. He agreed to meet with me. And to this day, it was still the best piece of advice that I'd gotten. My takeaway from that conversation with Mike was find the person. And this is my number one piece of advice to all of you, is if you're struggling and you need help, you're at the stage where you want help. Instead of consuming all of the things, right? All the YouTube channels, all the Facebook news feeds, all the books, all that stuff, and pasting together a strategy on your own, which is what I did in my first agency, the 7-figure agency failure. It's much more efficient to find the person that's done exactly what you want to do and go and absorb that person's, courses, YouTube channel, if they've got it, book, if they've got it, Facebook feed, Twitter feed, whatever it is that they publish, go absorb all their content and try to shut everything else out. And I think that's important because we're in this age where there's too much information, right? And what we tend to do is pick and choose little things from people that we see that are successful. We try to combine those things, but it ends up being a bit of a Frankenstein,
Yeah. I wonder why that is. I think egos is at play a little bit, where we feel like, I don't just want to follow this one guy. Like I'm sure there must be like I'm gonna pick it from like multiple people and like, I mean, I'm kind of like that. That's probably the reason why I hate being an employee. I never was a fan of being an employee because just listening to someone's orders, same thing like just following just one person's advice. I was always piecing it together. So, but there is a fault at that too, right? Where you get into this cycle of just educating, consuming education, and you don't do any action. You don't take any action.
For sure. And what ends up happening is, and this is almost, I would almost say to no fault of our own, because our ego is there to protect us.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think of the word ego, try not to think of just like, the high school sports jock who thinks he's the shit or whatever. Try to think about your ego protects it's like inside of every human. That's what it does. Right.
Yeah.
So the human mind will go, hey, I need to have a safety net. So I need to get this breadth of education or this breadth of knowledge in order to, be the best, be the best in my business. I've just very rarely seen that happen. And so he was very, very upfront that if I came in trying to customize and change everything, that this whole thing wouldn't work. Right. So I did that. I followed his instructions. And by the end of that 90-day period, I booked like 30 grand a month in recurring revenue. Right. And all we were doing was offering Facebook ads as lead gen and sending them to a 2-step landing page. So, that moment for me was a huge shift because it almost force fed me the model that works. And by far, the model of the productized service or the streamlined service delivery is the way that most people in the agency world are killing it. There are always exceptions, of course, but that agency that's how we ended up being able to help 535 clients in 20 months was because we have the streamlined service delivery. So that's kind of like it in a nutshell. My second agency, the 7-figure agency Success, dude, I mean, we had more kids during that time period. We spent more days at the beach, at swim lessons, at, going to the zoo, like you name it, than I'd ever had in my entire life. I had more free time on my hands than I ever had. We got to travel more. I had free cash. It was like a super profitable business. So I was actually making money, taking money home to support my family instead of just groveling the whole time and struggling. And this ended up turning into something somewhat of a sellable asset. And just to be upfront with folks, like I did not have like a home run sale of my agency. It was not enough for me to like stop working forever. I call it like, if a home run is like, a multi 7-figure exit, mine was about a double. Okay. Just to give you guys, an analogy there. So I was kind of like, okay, I had some good success with that first agency, licked my chops. I figured out the model to work. I needed to work much less to get that thing to go. It required inputs still, but like far fewer inputs for me. And I became in love with the lifestyle part of that, right? It's like, okay, now I feel like I am in alignment with the reasons why I started this business. I still work hard, but I work when I want to. I can always carve out time for my family with this model. The cash flow is there, that, the clients are coming easily to us because we're getting them good results. Word of mouth is spreading about our brand. And so like, it's hard for me to explain just how much better, like the second agency was exponentially better in almost every shape, way, form you can think of. And that's when I started to get people coming to me asking for me to teach them this model, right? That I'd had some success with. So simultaneously after that, right about the time I was selling my agency, HighLevel approached me. I knew Robin from the agency world, one of the co-founders, and he introduced me to Sean, and Sean had this vision, right? And he said, hey, I really think that the stuff that you're teaching to folks, it fits perfectly with the software model that we're creating for agency owners. And we can talk about why that was so compelling to me at the time and what really made me believe in it so much to make that jump, because it's very practical. It wasn't like a pipe dream, but that was one of the key moments in my career where I decided to sell the agency and switch and start coaching people full time and helping HighLevel grow. Right. So that's kind of like, I'm just telling that story because most people find it helpful, interesting, and useful so they can apply it. I'm not talking about how great I am because I joke around that I'm a caveman. I'm not that smart. There's better marketers than me. There's not, I was never doing anything that special. Okay. But my systems were, so here's a great quote that I love. James Clear, the Atomic Habits author, book is great, by the way. he has this quote, and it's, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And if you look back at, if you took an x-ray of my first agency versus my second agency, we were falling to the level of our systems at our first agency, which is basically no systems, right? So we were just constantly like on the brink of failure, right? Month by month, week by week, day by day. My second agency was almost fully systematized. And so it was kind of difficult to mess it up, to be honest. Like when I did show up to work, the thing moved. And when I wasn't there, or when an employee had to cover something, our systems kept the baseline at a higher level than most people could do manually. Right. And that's what made that work. So you can't have that level of systems without the right model. And that's what I began becoming so passionate about, was teaching other business owners this so they can get what they want out of their business. That's why we all get into it in the first place, right? Is to have more freedom, more time with our families, more cash, more options, right? We were just chatting about how you don't like being told what to do. Well, neither do I. Like in a job setting, I hated having bosses. It was terrible, right? So freedom to pursue what you want in your career, right? Like if I change my mind tomorrow, I want to be able to go and pursue it, not be
Yeah.
held by this, this thing full of obligations and negativity and debt, like, et cetera. So it's like, yeah,
Absolutely. And I think it's also the thing where, we, by the nature of being an entrepreneur, we are creative people. We like to have, freedom in our creativity and and do stuff. So that example of being an employee, I mean, it's not always the case from my experience. Sometimes there were really good bosses that allowed me to have that creativity, have the input. But most of the time it wasn't like that. So now
right.
you had a big impact on high level from the beginning, right? You
Yeah.
managed to get them out of the beta and sort of where it's now, it's can you talk to us about have you ever, thought it'd be this big?
Oh, well, yes and no. So the reason, the yes part of that is, at the time, so in my fitness agency, the productized service agency, software was a big part of that. We had a $44,000 a month Scipio bill, and Scipio was well known for totally stabbing their affiliates in the back. I mean, I don't mind saying that freely because it's just happened to so many people. And I don't even know if they're open for business anymore. I think they're closed, but at the time I was bringing them, I brought them hundreds of customers, and it was, so Scipio is a two-way business texting platform. That's all it did was, two-way SMS. So with gyms, that's vitally important because that's pretty much the only way that lead gen gets done is through text, right? It's a very consumer-based business, right? So, when Robin came to me, he said, "Hey, I want you in on this beta group. I know that you use some software for your agency, yada, yada." And I'm like, "Cool. What does it do?" And he says, "Well, it does two-way SMS." And I'm like, "Stop. No more features needed. Thank you." And then I said, "Does it have an agency dashboard?" He said, "Yes." And then he said, "Plus it has this conversation stream thing where you could just like reply regardless of the location that the lead comes in. It just files them in chronological order. So like one rep can sit there and reply to all the leads as they come in real time." So I was like, "Okay, cool. How much does this cost? Because if it's less than half of what I'm paying now, I'll jump over right now as long as it works." And he said, "Well, it's $297 a month for unlimited." Right. So I'm like, "What?" First of all, that's nothing. Okay. My Scipio bill is 44 grand a month, Robin. You're either undercharging and you're being, you know, too nice out there in the marketplace, or it's too good to be true. Right. And it turned out that this thing was like a rocket ship. I mean, I had a team of 9 who would log in and log out of like, they would have like 50 locations each, right, that they were responsible for. So my team members were logging in and out of Scipio, responding to the messages manually. And so we were wasting tons of time just logging into each account because Scipio had no agency features, right? So we figured out, I did the math, and it turned out that one rep could handle all of our accounts on the HighLevel platform by the math of it. So not only did Robin save me $500,000 a year in software costs that would have gone to my bottom line, but it also allowed us to be much more lean and, operate pretty much with one person on fulfillment, right? Instead of like that. So that right there made me a believer. My own personal experience with that platform and my experience with what else was out there. And, that was just one piece of software. We're also paying for ClickFunnels and Fusionsoft, like all this other stuff, right? So So basically I was like, if this thing works and I can, prove that it worked and show like, I'm like, I'll tell the world about this. I mean, dude, this thing's awesome and you're charging too little. Right. So that was the yes part. Was it was very easy for me to see the light, so to speak, because of that. Right. I mean, that's pretty compelling for anyone, but so for me, it would have added $500,000 more to my pocket, and it would have increased the valuation of my agency like 10x,
Yeah.
somewhere in that,
It's a win-win.
sure. So, unfortunately what happened was I sold the agency in the client roster and everything. It was too hard to get people to migrate over from Scipio onto GHL before the sale of my agency. So I just went ahead and did it. I said, hey, just let them stay on Scipio. We'll go and sell my agency and I'll just focus on HighLevel. Right. The no part of it, where I was like, you guys are crazy. And I don't think, if I was to look 5 years in the future, it's been about 6 years now. I'm like, you will never scale this at that price point. Right. This is too dang valuable to be charging $97 a month, $297, et cetera, and have it be that scalable.
Yeah. I've always wondered like how they do it, because I mean, I can't
It's just
imagine,
yeah,
that's a massive, I mean, and they were like that from the beginning, and they continue
from
to
the
be the
beginning.
same pricing. It's like,
Yes.
how would you
So
foresee it's going to work at scale and you're still going to be, that's a massive risk. I mean, I'm not I'm not a techie, so obviously they know the numbers, right? But
totally. So, I now know how they've made that work, but at the time I was like, man, I just don't know. And Sean had this vision that, to his credit, him and Robin and Varun, the three co-founders, stuck to their vision. They stuck to their guns. They're like, I know it's different. I know it's not like most companies, but that's also what's going to make it great and stand out in this marketplace. Right. And it did. So, I mean, I had a workshop in San Diego. It's about 20 people live and 20 people on Zoom who couldn't make it live. And they came down, they flew down, pitched HighLevel for an hour, and everybody, virtual and in person, bought. It was 100% success rate. So I helped them sell their first 40 spots. And that's when I really said, okay, we're onto something here. And if you guys keep developing as fast as you say you're going to add all these features, which they obviously have, this thing is going to be a rocket ship, right? So for the first year, I was pretty much the only salesperson in their entire organization. And I was doing it as an affiliate. So it was all kind of on me, right? So they were handling the product and delivery, of course, but I was like the only salesperson. There was a handful of others, but I was really the only one doing a whole lot. So, if you fast forward to now, they've got, I think, over 60,000 paying users, got 900 employees. They've had 2 rounds of funding, multi-billion-dollar valuation. And so they've just hockey sticked in growth over, I would say that really started in year 3 and now we're at year 6. So it's happened fast, super fast.
hey, I've got a question. So I know like the SMS is what got you in the first place because of your, excessive costs with the other provider. But aside from
Yeah.
SMS, and I know like, you're big on database reactivation. I want to go into that too, but there's so many other features. Do you have any like favorite feature aside from SMS in HighLevel right now that you like to use?
By far, right? And this is one of the things that I think makes HighLevel unique. It's the conversation stream for me. Like, it's been so practical. So, and here's why. The whole game with most businesses, as far as lead gen is concerned, which is where the money is, it's always been speed to lead, right? So if you've been in lead gen or online marketing at all, you probably heard this, but you have a 900% higher chance of getting in contact with the lead if you contact them within 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays it's more like 1 minute or less, right? So you can have an unfair advantage as a small business owner by contacting all the leads that come in from all your various sources, your outbound efforts, your inbound efforts, from all your social profiles, from your website forms, from your website chat, your phone, like your missed call text back, for example, is a great one to install. But like capturing the leads quicker and responding to them right away is literally the game, right? So if you own like a small business and you've got 10 competitors in town and you just do that one thing better than them, you're going to win most of the business most of the time, right? And this is just a fact. Like they've done studies on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
In fact, MIT and HubSpot did a study 10 years ago, I think, on this, and they had this full report on it. And, everyone was like blown away. And I'm like, I mean, if you've ever helped a small business in your life, this makes sense, right? If you have client A, who's calling the leads, texting the leads, following up with them multiple times, et cetera, that client will win over client B, who just says, oh, I'll get to them tomorrow. And this is the client who always calls you and goes, the leads are crap. And it's like, really? And you go, okay, well, how many of them did you follow up with? It's usually 0, right? And so you're in this war with your own client. Like, no, I'm getting you the leads. You just got to follow up with them. So I made a career, my whole my Fit Club Accelerator agency with the gyms. Our career was lead gen and lead nurture. That's all we did. And then we did some database reactivation. But the fact that we nurtured all the leads for them, put money into their pocket in a very direct way, starting the day that we began working with them. So that was our whole thing. That's the reason why we took off. So if there's one thing, and it was the first thing that came during the beta phase of HighLevel, it's, to me, still to this day, it's the conversation stream, because that thing allows you to respond to leads automatically en masse and across multiple clients. Let's say you have 100 clients, you can still have a conversation stream that just feeds all the leads as they come in.
Yeah.
So
what I like about it is that, I've been in the community for 3 years, and I keep, I've been to a couple of webinars and things like that, and the message hasn't changed. What you talk about, it's been always the same. It's been, keep it simple, database reactivation, fulfillment, really simple. I think the problem lies in that we like to, overcomplicate things. We like to, high level has so many things. It's like, I sometimes feel like a kid in a candy store, like, I got to use it all, like, so it's like that. And now with AI into it, it's not just, omni-channel inbox. That is the advantage that you talk about. That's like almost like a thing of the past. Like now you actually take it to the next level where you plug in AI chatbots for even faster, more reliable responses. It's incredible.
Yep. Yeah. It gives you nearly unlimited fulfillment potential without having to hire another person.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It is. Do you have any other feature in particular that you're looking forward to most in the future of HighLevel future releases, and like why?
No, because I'm a person who lives by simplicity. And so like our second agency, we built that having those 3 things that I mentioned. It was only that, right? We didn't touch their website. We didn't do Google Maps, SEO. We didn't do it was more about what we didn't do than what we did do. And so for me, I'm a person who says to myself, okay, if I want what I want out of my business, I have to give the clients also what they want, in order to make this whole thing work. And most clients, if you just solve the speed to lead problem for them, that's all you need to do to really move the needle. There's a lot of like nice to have, right? And I love HighLevel because they develop like crazy. It just, like the new features are useful to some people, right? But like when they add a missed call text back, I'm like, that's another linchpin feature, right? Meaning if you just did that one thing for your clients, you could put money in their pocket and you can get paid to keep it on. They're happy. They're getting more leads, which means more money. And then you're happy because you're getting what you want, which is, streamlined fulfillment for fair price where it's relatively headache free, So if you start getting into other features where it requires custom work, for me, I would prefer not to do that. So I would opt out of that and just say, cool, I'll let someone else do it. Right. So as far as what I believe in and the way that I prefer to get what I want out of my business, if it requires custom work, I just don't do it. If it's templatized or streamlined, fine, can add it. But I don't really look forward to future updates because I still feel like it's like, how much better can you optimize that system for your client without sacrificing what you want? Well, let's say you made it 1% better. It's not like you can charge a whole heck of a lot more if it's just 1% better. Meaning like their website looks a little better than the old website. To me, that's just like not that crucial step when you compare it to solving the speed to lead problem for your client, right? So for me, I don't look forward to, I just go, look, there's millions and millions of businesses that need this and they have not been served yet. So basically until the market gets saturated, guys, go get them. It's like, why do you need more features if that problem hasn't been solved yet? You're leaving millions and millions of dollars on the table, relatively stress-free for your business and theirs. So until you check that box, do not pass go, do not collect. You see what I mean? It's like,
yeah, it's not that all the other features are like, not important, but what you're saying is, the way I understand what you're saying is, keep it simple, focus on the core essentials, and then you can always add extra layers of things you could do for them. But that's how you're gonna make it more profitable, more lifestyle, kind of a friendly
Yes.
business. Yeah.
That's the way I prefer to do it. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way. I just, after being through what I've been through in my experience, that's just what I would choose to do continuously moving forward. So, and there's always like cool things that they're doing. Like they're adding, for info products, they're adding payment options like Klarna and Apple Pay and stuff like
Yeah.
that for your checkout pages. Like that's awesome, right? Have I installed it yet? No. Like maybe one day when it really bugs the crap out of me, or enough of my customers come to me and say, "Hey, I really love this option," then I'll get out of bed and do it. Right. But it's like, I am just really good at doing the basics day in and day out and staying really consistent with that. And that's usually enough. It's enough for my clients. It's enough for me. I'd rather be out doing something cool outdoors than fiddling with the latest thing. And I know it's addicting. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I know it's cool. I know it's entertaining. I know it's fun. I think it's really, really rad, all the stuff that they're doing. But just for me, this is just the thing that I will beat till the day I die is like, I have to be getting what I want out of the business. And the more complication you add to it, the less the less close I get to getting what I want out of the business. Right.
That makes perfect sense. I hope you guys
Yeah.
are listening, because there's, this simplicity is something that I'm, I'm for that, because I'm too much of a perfectionist, and like, my profit roadmap systems, like I went the other way, like I've gone deep into everything, and then because like the way I did it is kind of similar to you. Like when I was upgrading, I was looking at all the affiliate deals, I was looking at yours, I was looking at Matt DeSano's, and a lot of you guys had like snapshots and stuff. And I think at the time you didn't have like what you've got now, the agency masters thing. But the one that stood out for me was Mike Cooch, because of like, it was more about strategy. Like I didn't really give a crap about like products. It's like, I just need more the advice, and his R4 method, and the modular thing, like, stacking things up. And like, I really loved it. But then again, like my own ego, right? I just went and I ended up like developing my own process based on those fundamental principles, modular, stackable. Because like, I don't have, I've never had that many agency clients like you had, but it didn't take long for me enough to realize, those couple of clients that I had, that's just not what I want to do long term, right? Paying me on retainer a couple of grand a month, nice, but calling me, and like constantly never been really happy. And I'm always like
Yeah.
a person where tries to fix something, tries to deliver better results, but I just ended up being a slave to my own detriment, and that's what I did, and works. But the
Well,
simplicity is where it's at, and then when you have
it
these additional
might
things, yeah,
totally. Mike will be the first guy to tell you that you want to stay out of what he calls the middle, right? So when I ran my agency, it was high ticket, results based, and there's this middle ground where it's like people are kind of confused by the offers and their middle ground pricing. So Mike's whole thing is like, you got to be the most expensive option in the market. That's usually results based, or you got to be the lowest ticket thing in the market. And that should be fully automated. And they're nothing customized. It's like multiple clients are getting the same product.
yeah,
Right. So basically you run it like a store. It's like you have this thing to sell them. Like a great example is he had this business in the IT industry of a newsletter. Like, they might get one or two clients a month from the newsletter, but it's just about staying in front of their customers, staying top of mind. It's not results focused like a lead gen campaign, right? So he'd create one newsletter, and his hundreds of clients would get the same newsletter, and they just email that to their own client base, right? So it's great for them because they're like, okay, I'm in bed. Oh, what do I got to do tomorrow? Well, I don't have to write a newsletter. That's worth $47 a month to me right there. And that Mike made a career off of building products like that, right? And they just keep paying forever, basically. I mean, he's got like such a ridiculous long tail, really low churn rate on those kinds of products. So, but you want to stay out of the middle. And I think that's a brilliant way to think about it, right? So again, this is credit to Mike Cooch because he taught me this too. But if you take any of his trainings, he's basically saying that, and he's mostly teaching it down here, right? Create something that has streamlined, or even better, fully automated delivery, right? So it's the same principle though. It's like most people's model is somewhere in the middle, and that is the hardest for your customers to decide upon because there's so many options, right? Like the price point is not too high, and not too low. So it's kind of like, is it the best in the market? It's kind of hard to tell. And then usually there's like a lot of bloat in their product, meaning like they promise 50 fucking things for this middle price. And the client just kind of gets like confused by it all because it's just complex. Right.
Mhm.
So again, I would just urge you to do two things. Go for simplicity, meaning like if you're going to go high ticket, it should probably be results focused, meaning you can expect to make more money from this because it's providing a result that means dollars to you now. Right. So it's not a branding play. It's not a, design play necessarily. It's usually like a direct response play where you can charge thousands of dollars per month. Right. That's what we did. Or be a low ticket option and have it fully automated and have the client basically never talk to you again. Right. And so you need more clients, but they're headache free clients, and stay out of the middle. Right. So stay away from the customized work as much as you can, or stay away from that work completely. And that will get you out of the middle as well. Right. So like in our agency, we only offered 3 things in our package, and we usually only did 1 or 2 of those things. We didn't even have to do all 3. So, Mike was like, dude, you're doing it right. Like you're at the top of the market, charging high ticket, getting insane results, but it's still productized delivery. You're not offering customized work. Each client's getting the same prescription. Right. So I was just solving the speed to lead problem and doing some database reactivation. That was it. But if you look at the marketplace, if like just go to a high level group, most people are in the middle. They're like, hey, I'm charging this and I'm offering, and they go right into like 50 things. And you're like, dude, I feel tired just reading that. Right. If you simplify this, guys, it will be much easier for your market to understand, to create word of mouth referrals for, much easier to do case studies from. It's like everything gets easier. Right. So Mike's brilliant at that teaching. It's just, he teaches the bottom end and I'm kind of teaching the top end. It's just a preference,
Yeah.
preference.
So look, we probably have maybe some new people maybe listening. For those that never heard of you, never heard of the database reactivation method, can you just give it a brief explanation?
Yeah. So, okay, this is my best client strategy. It's what I'm best known for, but basically database reactivation is an outbound play, right? So examples of an inbound play would be like someone finds you or your client's social media, says, hey, I'm interested, and then they DM you, right? That's inbound. Inbound would also be, hey, I'm going to fire up an ad and generate a lead, and then, start messaging with that lead right away. That's an inbound play. This one is outbound. So database reactivation is you take a group of contacts. So let's just use this in a client context. So when I ran Fit Club Accelerator, we'd say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Gym owner, we're going to upload all of your contacts into your entire database into our software. And we're going to send an outgoing SMS to 100 or 200 of those people per day. And we're going to send them an offer. And for the people that raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in that offer, we're going to book an appointment for you to get them to come into your place of business to take advantage of that offer. So really what this is, it's like high level. Me and my team had a pretty big hand at the beginning, helping them put these bulk messaging features into high level to make this super easy to do. So what you do is you basically just split it up into little chunks and do like 100 per day. And you send out this message. And what ends up happening is they get like somewhere between 2 to 5 on average appointments booked up per day from this. You might say, well, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. But if you multiply that times 20 days in a month or 22 days in a month, it really starts to add up and it fills your client sales pipeline for them without ad spend. So this is a warm market outbound play where you're saying, I'm going to send these people who haven't bought from you recently an outgoing message. When they respond, I'm going to book them into an appointment. And then we're going to generate new sales activity from your warmest audience and get them into your sales environment so you can hopefully get them to buy. Right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it a lot because I've used it for my clients and it does work. And what's really cool about it is like they get in and you might have that initial overwhelm that they're exposed to all these features, so they might not be sure like how quickly they get a result. And then you come in, you do this one thing right away off the bat, you plug it in, you get it going, and then when those responses to these messages starts to coming in, it's like wow, like the first time I ran it for one of the gyms here, because I'm too in the fitness space, but in Australia, and the first time I ran it for a martial arts club, and they had like a list of like 500, and they just ran it, and they're like boom, boom, boom. And like they were, oh, dude, like I'm coaching, like guys, like you got all these, like, and then obviously there was a problem of like the follow up that wasn't properly organized back then. But just the sheer fact of the responses coming back to these messages, and it's all done through an automation, and it's to a contact list that they already have, that they haven't had to spend a single dollar on except for the SMS fees. And you get them in, you get them that quick win, you
Oh,
give this client forever.
again, well, it's like imagine talking to clients saying, how many folks do you have in your database? They say something like 5,000, let's just say, right? Which is about middle of the pack for the average local business. And you in your head say, okay, I can probably book so that the range that we use is 2 to 10%, right? That was just a safe middle range. That's just an average, right? Could be higher, could be lower, depending on the list, et cetera. But let's just say it's like 5%, 5,000, right? You have to realize how exciting that is for your client to be hearing that message that you can get this result, because they've never had a result like that from any marketing channel in their life. Like it just they'll ask you, hey, can you help me with other stuff? So if you have anything else to sell, it's an easy upsell method. It's a great foot in the door strategy because it's very low risk for you and for them, right? So I call this like a burrito date. It's like if you have trouble just prospecting and getting your clients to give you the opportunity to sell to them, telling somebody that you can get them risk-free appointments with no ad spend is one of the best offers you can make to any small business on the planet, because it's risk-free for you and risk-free for them. It might take you an hour to run the whole campaign. So setting it up and being like, hey, let's just try it. And if we strike out, you didn't lose anything really, right?
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of advantages. It helps with the prospecting process. It helps with the sales process for you. It's streamlined fulfillment, and clients get this incredible result.
But
It works for any business too. Yeah. It doesn't have to be small businesses. Like we reactivate our list all the time for my info products coaching, high level affiliate stuff. I mean, if you own your own business and you have a list, and you're not doing a reactivation strategy, you should start doing it right away, because it's literally money on the table. It's just sitting there waiting for you to reactivate these people. Right.
yeah, where can people find out about this? You've
So
got a couple of different
yeah.
things on the market, but this particular thing I think is the most impactful for people listening, especially the new SaaSpreneurs, the high levelers joining the community. If they want to
Yep.
learn more about the database reactivation method, where do they find out about this?
So I have a free group where I teach this. It's a 1-hour class broken up into small step-by-step videos. So the videos are about 5 minutes each. So it's just robbailey.com, ROBBBAILEY.com/group. And when you go into my free group, there's a classroom tab. You just click the classroom tab and there's a free course in there for everybody. So I've decided to just give that away for free, because at this point, there's more people asking than I can manually help coaching one-on-one. So I just said, hey, let's just give that away. Right. So you guys are welcome to go in there, take that training. I literally ask for nothing in return. So I would advise everybody to try that once. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed with high level, I get it. It's like, I do too. It gives me anxiety just logging in sometimes, because there's just so much happening in there. But if you can follow instructions for 1 hour, you can get a great result for your client. And I'm telling you guys this, I've done this tens of thousands of times at this point. Most people who run a reactivation one time for themselves or a client, they begin on a path of believing and seeing a positive result that sends them on a trajectory that makes them successful with high level for life. I'm just telling you this. Like the very first guy that I signed up for high level, his name was Joe Rare. He was customer number 001. He's still using high level today because he had that first taste of success and then was off to the races. I'm not claiming that it was I'm not responsible for him running with his own business, but that was the activation point that set him on a trajectory to make a positive change in his business. And I've just seen it time and time again. So if for some reason you don't choose database reactivation, choose one thing, spend 1 hour and get one result. And I promise that will set you on a trajectory for success using high level. I've seen it enough to where that's just how it is for most folks.
That's awesome. Hey, Rob, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and sharing these, insightful strategies, these tactics. You guys listening, I hope that you've been taking some notes, because, this stuff is powerful and this can really, really get you up and running and start to get your first win for your first couple of clients. So Rob, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Guys, I've actually decided I'm gonna sweeten the deal a little bit more. So what we're going to do is you're welcome to go directly to Robb's website and get access to his database reactivation. But if you also want to grab hold of, I got this thing called Deep Links Generator, which is a thing where if you're trying to send your customers that sign up to your software to a particular area of HighLevel, and they're not that savvy at the beginning, they don't know where to go, where to click. I've created these deep links that you just serve inside an email that goes to your customers that signed up, and they click a link, takes them directly to a social planner or takes them directly to an email marketing to create a newsletter. Just making it really easy for your customers to use the software. So this is the deep link generator. It's a spreadsheet that I created, and it's got about, I don't know, like 80 something different areas of HighLevel all linked up. I include a video. It's totally free. So if you guys want this, and also if you want, Robb's database reactivation, head over to highlevelexperience.com/dbr. And on that page, you'll have access to both of these features, and that'll help you, get up and running with what you want to do. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, Robb, thank you so much for being on, mate. You've been an inspiration. I always look up to you, what you do. I like to, remind myself of the simplicity that I sometimes forget about because it's where it's at.
Of course. Well, look, it takes all types, right? Like the snapshots that you built, guys, if you have not checked out its snapshots, they are so in depth, so well thought out. So I don't have the level of detail to ever even create something like that myself. So that's not your strength. His snapshot library is a great option. Or if you just don't want to take the time to build it, right? He's done all the hard work for you. This snapshot library is insane. He's let me take a look at the back end and the trainings and everything. If you need that level of detail in your business, or you want that level of detail built out for some reason, definitely this stuff is amazing. One of the best I've seen. So don't forget about that. You shouldn't sell that part of it short either, because some people need that in their business. Right?
So, yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you, Robb. Yeah, guys. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So if you're interested, what I've actually done, I've made it more like a modular. So I call it profit roadmap. So there's 10 different snapshots, and they all sort of click into each other, and it allows you to have more productized fulfillment. Where the first one's called the Essential Business Marketing System, and it kind of like has some of the things that I learned from Europe, some of the things I learned from Mike, and I sort of packaged it up into that one. And it's like the idea is to give the client a really quick win. Then you plug in the next one, which is the appointments. The next one's reputation. The next one's referral system, and you go up the cycle until you get to like the last one, which is optimizing ads. But like the whole idea was, and going back to Mike, I got to give him so much credit. His STAR4 method, the methodology of, hey, when you get your first client, like don't worry about generating leads for them. Why would you generate leads if they got shit reputation? Because reputation impacts conversion, and I kind of like that makes so much sense. So that's kind of like how I like structured the sequencing of these modules. And so guys, if you're interested, it's available. It's on my site, fitmo.com. Check it out.
I mean, think about, if you go back to what we were just discussing, model wise, if you can install something like that into your business, I mean, you would have cut out 3+ years of suffering and pain that I had to go through to learn that, firsthand. Right. And you're selling it for like such a small amount compared to all the crap that I went through and all the crap that Mike had to go through, that it's not, I want to say it's funny, but it's not. It's like, it's a brilliant play. Like, why not go and install that into your business, skip all the trial and error, and start getting your clients quick wins from day one? That's a great strategy. Like if you have that in your tank and you have DVR in your tank, you got both sides of the coin. One is sort of like a higher ticket play. It's a little bit of work, but not a ton, maybe an hour of fulfillment work for you. And the other one is probably pretty plug and play, I'm guessing. Right?
Yeah. I mean, they range. Some of them are more complex, but like the first one takes like 2 hours once you get good at setting up. And when you plug in things like, I'm using like GHL plugins or Rupert Samuel's, Level Up Marketplace. He's got like this form, or a band's got really cool form for custom values. Any of these, that you just use to populate custom values a lot quicker. Then you can get that time even lower. But the main thing is like, because it's, with any snapshots, regardless whether it's mine or any other snapshot, as long as it's well documented, that you can follow a process. You can still offer custom work to clients, but you've got the template, you've got the fundamental thing that you install, and then you just tweak I think I saw it um on the website of what's his name? He was speaking at Summit. One of the biggest marketers.
Was it
Frank. Yeah, Frank Kern.
Frank Kern? Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think it was a copy on his website. It was like just tweak the copy in the emails. That's all you got to do. Like we've done it all. You just tweak the copy and Bob's your uncle. You know.
Yep. Yeah. So, and that's miles apart. I wouldn't even call that custom. Like you are customizing it when you do that, but that's not custom work. Having the client come to you and say, well, I have this idea that I want to, just every little bit of it is customized, right? You're starting with the template, quickly customizing it and then deploying it in the next few hours. That's like, it's so different. It's like the difference between starting with a blank cursor on your screen and starting with something that's proven and deploying it within hours, not weeks or months, is massive. Absolutely massive. Again, the difference is exponential. It's not additive, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a no-brainer. I mean,
and then when you keep it you keep the same pricing, right? You don't reduce the pricing. You still keep the high ticket pricing. You still present it as a bespoke solution because it is. It's just on the back end is how you've been able to systemize it. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, brilliant, bro. Yeah, so smart.
Thanks, mate. So let's wrap it up, man. I mean, I feel like we should get a mic on and like do another episode and like just have a bit of banter, like just bounce ideas because it could be
totally
pretty cool.
Well, I always like to end it with a good fart, I mean, just to take the edge off.
Yes. Go ahead.
But honestly, guys, and this is the other thing that I'll say about if you guys can make it to a high level event, the other thing about this community, this is what I love, is that, us as a community, we don't take ourselves too seriously, right? There's great people doing amazing things with high level, building such cool stuff on it. But the people, when you go to an event, it just goes to show you like how amazing this ecosystem is, because everybody who goes there is constructive and supporting, and it's like everybody's getting their fill, right? So it's not like as cutthroat as some other industry or some other brand events that you go to. It's an extremely supportive, uplifting environment, right? You also can talk to the CEOs, the founders, the co-founders, the heads of the departments, like everybody's super.
Sean, I was breakdancing on the dance floor. Sean was like sitting next to me. It's like,
totally. They're in there mixing it up with the rest of us,
Yeah.
So, I highly recommend going to an event if you can make it. The summit's coming up in October, which is the big one. So if you guys can meet us there, that's a great place to
100%.
find inspiration, help launch your business, improve your business, all those kinds of things. Network your tail off with great people.
What I like about it is like, this is very rare, to be in a community of people who, in a way, you could say we are like kind of competitors, but like, it's very rare to find a community that is not like that. It's not like everybody for themselves. Everybody's trying to be helpful, and I'm gonna follow up on this cheesy note of a cheesy thing that maybe you've heard before. It's like your network is your net worth. It's just so true. Like January last year, I remember it. Like I didn't know anybody, like none of the big players, right? Because I was just like, nope, I wasn't known in the community. I wouldn't think myself to be known now, but like, basically, long story short, from where I'm at now and where I was, is I connected with Johan from HighLevel Suite. Walt had, spoke to Walt, and then obviously met you, met Andrew Kamide from ChitHQ, started to hang out with everybody at Dallas, and then now I've been invited to speak at the Level Up Summit, not the Level Up, but the HighLevel Expert Summit that Johan and Walt had 2 weeks ago, and then things starts to unravel. Now I'm getting like the praises for my systems and like things like that. And I've got, Ryan from Growthable promoting my snapshots and like people, collaborations. Just before we started recording, right? We talked about doing a webinar together, and it is about relationships, guys. And this is a little, a little plug here is why podcasts work so amazing, because it's my secret weapon at building relationships and coming up with joint ventures. It works amazingly well. I'm I'm thinking about maybe doing a course or something, because I've been podcasting since 2019, and every time I've got a guest on it, like, it is, the mission is to like try and inspire others, the listeners, but secretly it's also like just to deepen the relationship with a guest, and then, you know, it's that. I mean, another one is, I'm thinking about doing a podcast for my SaaS where I'll just interview business owners, and then like
Yep.
talk about this, talk about that, some impactful strategy, what you like for my niche, and then they will share with you something. But in a way, it's kind of like hidden sales call at the end of the day, and nobody's going to open up to you the same way. Like if I went and, you know, sent you a message like, "Hey Rob, have you got an hour to jump on a call?" It's like, what?
Yes.
No, why? You're going to try
Right.
and pitch me something, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's unique, right? It's like, hey, I want to share. Like I told this story so many times that I feel like everyone's heard it, right? The stories that I share with you, but your questions and the context around it and your experiences have led us to a different type of show, if you want to call that, right? Uh, um, than I've had on others, where I'm basically telling the same story, just in different contexts with their different learning moments. So, even if you feel like you're on one end of the spectrum or the other, whether you're like the guest or the host, if you think you've covered it all, I guarantee you there's people out there you know, who never heard these stories. Like I guarantee that there's maybe only a handful of people that watched this from your audience that will say, yeah, I even know who Rob is. And I freaking was there from the beginning at HighLevel, right? Like my voice has been drowned out in the HighLevel group so long ago. It's like 3 years ago, people started going like, who's that? You know? So you better have a platform too, right? Where it's like, um, I could go and tell a story that will help others in an effort to create more connection with my brand and the way that I help people. Yeah. Like that's part of it. And you've been sharing some of your story here with a bit too, right? Um, but the secret weapon part of it is that the psychological impact that you've had by just, sitting down to lay this out there and put it out to the world, makes it so this like, you kind of have to have your crap together to put a podcast together like this. Right. So I'm happy to donate my time to help other people with someone who has their crap together. The millions of messages that I get in my inbox, I have no idea what their intention is, what they're asking from me, whether it's totally self-serving to them. The list goes on and on. So it's an auto no for all those reasons. But when you approach it right and you say, hey, I have a podcast, it's inherent that you're going to share a message with the world that probably needs to be shared. And most people can get behind that right away. Right. So yeah, it is a bit of a secret sales thing, but it's not, it's not that I was unaware of it coming on
It's
here,
just
but
like it's just a nice bonus. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, totally. Like, yeah, let's do some business together after this. Cool. Fine. Right.
Yeah.
Easy. You should put together a little mini course on it. It's my recommendation. I
Well,
would look at it.
wait, what you'll see next week. The way I started to do it now, it's like, actually, I'm not going to spoil the surprise. You'll find out.
All right.
Hey, I
I'm
don't
looking
know.
forward to it. Oh, first buyer.
No, I'm not selling you anything. It's what you get as being a guest. Basically, it's like these
Oh, I see.
30 different little clips and whatnot. But actually, what I do is I put them all in a CSV file. The bulk schedule uploader and social media.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things I've found is, getting guests to like share the episode. Like they might do it once, but then everybody does their own thing, so they forget they were on episode. Not that intentionally. It's just how we are, right? But I figured if I send you a CSV file that's got 38 clips, and if I have all the dates preset for you, everything, and I do it where you just plug it into your HighLevel and you just bulk schedule and post, it's going to cover 8 months worth of exposure for podcast for you to share what you talked about, because it helps you as well. And
Yep.
so it's like the first week after the podcast, there's something for every day. And then after that, it's like for every 3 days for like 3 weeks. And then it's every week. And then it's once every fortnight, and then once a month. So it ends up stretch out all the way up to February next year. And you just press one button in HighLevel. Well, there's a few more buttons you press, but
Brilliant, dude. Brilliant. There's another nugget. Gosh, I should be
Social,
doing that.
bulk scheduling social. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it is huge. Right on, man. Well, it's a pleasure. It's an honor for me to have been on here. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you, man. Again, it'll be great to see you in October.
I'll try my best. I'm not promises. We are actually flying back to Australia, the family, on the 13th of November. So it's a bit of a tight schedule. But I actually set myself. I wanted to hit that 100 SaaS signups subscribers under my SaaS stuff, and if I'm not gonna hit that, I'm not gonna go. So it's like a bit of a like,
Well, let's make it happen then, Vit. Come
yeah,
on.
let's do it. All right, Rob.
You can do it.
Rob, thank you so much, man. Once again, thank you so much for being on. And guys, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast as well. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would also benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS to high level, please go to HighLevelExperience.com. You can find out all past episodes, show notes, links, extra tips, everything on there. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.